Welcome back, everybody. James MacLaren once again with Pat O'Hare. Say hi to the nice people,
Hello.
Pat O'Hare.
Hello to the nice people out
Yay! We've been jumping around and slowly moving forward through time. I believe the last interview closed with Oceanside Surf Shop, boards getting short, a no-notice tripping back from California with Freddie Groskraus. So let's try and pick it up somewhere in there. Coming back from that trip to California,
there. Right.
you started working again with
I think I worked for Feinberg for Oceanside a little
Oceanside
bit longer.
Surf Shop.
Yeah.
Okay, what was going on with that? What were we shaping? What were people riding? What was...
Well, we went back to more standard boards, but shorter. You know, they didn't. The V-bottom thing wasn't quite in.
That's right. We talked about the V-bottom thing, and then
I mean,
it
the
went away.
V-bottom thing went out, and they went. I think that was about the time that Claudia's butterfly, that type of shape was.
Yeah, and you mentioned that,
Yeah.
and I think I tossed in the Weber feather and the
Yeah.
Maury Pope camel, and I think
Right.
we even might have done a little crazy John Peck in there somewhere.
Peck, but those were all longboards, so that was
Yeah.
before.
Well, the camel was short. They had that
Was the
humming-
camels-
The camel was their first
was it?
short board.
Yeah.
I remember wanting one, and I
And
never got one.
I always had a thought, what's his name, that the camel was built for.
Bob Cooper?
Bob Cooper had a lot of mystique about him. I thought he was
Yeah.
something special. I never met him or knew him. I just read articles about him.
Yeah, he was... The Maury Pope, that was a whole strange
That was a-
thing.
yeah.
Those guys were not in the center. They were out on the edges somewhere.
Well, I think he was an engineer as much as he was a surfer. Pope was.
Kind of a Simmons guy.
Huh?
Kind of a Bob Simmons guy.
Kind of a Bob Simmons. Bob Simmons was way before him, though, and
But he was an engineer, wasn't he?
he probably was. He was really a smart man. I know that.
The stories I've read.
Yeah. He drowned in Laguna by
Wind and Sea.
Wind and Sea, by Bird Rock, didn't he, or something?
Somewhere,
Yeah.
the very mysterious, he just went out and didn't come back in kind of
Yeah,
deal.
he didn't come back in before leashes.
Yeah.
So he, but he had hurt. I guess the guy was a bike rider, one of those serious bike riders. He hit something, and his arm never came back.
Yeah, his arm was messed up.
His one arm was messed up, big time. It never did come back.
I read a big thing about him one time, but it was a very long time ago.
Who was it?
Wasn't a biography. It might have been a whole book. It might have been a biography.
Who was the guy that did the Malibu board?
Oh, why did you say that? I could have
I'm
said
so
it if you hadn't
sorry.
asked me. No.
I know.
That's,
The guy was one of the people I looked up to as far as shapes. I liked his idea was the perfect symmetrical shape. Everything.
yeah, that was
had
a
to
big
be-
step when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that I'd be guessing to say the dates, but he was one of my heroes in shaping.
Who?
He was. I can't think of his name.
Okay.
He was from like Seal Beach and Surfside, down there where we made boards, where we finished boards.
Okay, not very far from Manhattan Beach.
No, not too far from there. And he was really great. But that's another guy I never knew. But that was the time where, before actually magazines even, we used to hear stories about people. And he was one of the people that...
That was like the true Coconut Telegraph days.
Oh, it was beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we never thought about it as that. It was just like we'd hang out around the pier after we'd get done surfing, and somebody would bring something up, and we'd talk about it like it was news, you know.
And the information would spread.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's half the reason those guys that went to California and Hawaii, I mean, when they came back, they had stories that we didn't have yet.
Stories.
You know, and he was one of those guys talked about in California really a lot.
Maybe research that later or something.
Yeah.
Let's pull back forward into the early 70s. Boards are getting short. We haven't talked much about you surfing here in Florida, or any particular days, or any particular boards you liked as a favorite, or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like my board.
Yay!
But truth be told, when I came out here, the water was so much warmer, it was just fun to go out there and surf.
Oh, yeah.
And we got here just at probably not the peak, but right after the peak of hurricane season. And I remember being out in the water with Ricky and a couple other guys, and a guy named Hammer, who actually became a biologist for Florida, was out with us, and he says we should be getting some cane curls, and I go,
Cane curls?
I said, what's a cane curl? It's
Never heard that.
Yeah, and it was hurricanes. They called them cane curls, you know.
Amazing.
And I don't know if we got any that way. I think maybe we just missed the end of
That's the best time of the year, September, October,
yeah,
November.
yeah. We got some good waves, really good waves for that first year. That's one of the reasons we stayed here.
Oh, Florida just sucked you in, didn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, well, coming from California, which is a beautiful place. The thing I miss most about California is California glass, because it's slick glass.
You don't get that here much.
No, you don't. You get glassy days, but it's not that type of.
We get those funny velvet days, which
Yeah.
I don't see everywhere else.
No, I guess every coast has their thing that they get,
Yeah,
you know. But
yeah. You don't know that until you start going places. You
No.
think, well, this is just
No.
the ocean. It's how it
Yeah.
works.
yeah,
So you had a couple of good days. What were you riding?
I was riding a 10-foot Greg Knoll.
Serious.
Actually, a real pretty board. I had some color put on it that Wes put it on, and Greg Knoll started using the name. It's called O'Hare Red.
Oh, really?
He liked to put just stock colors on his boards because they had a tendency not to separate. When you see, all these colors were put in the gloss then, not.
Okay, and there could be trouble with that
Oh
glass.
yeah, after it was sanded, they glossed it, and sometimes you mix too much color because you're trying to get a color, it would separate, and you'd have to keep brushing it, but you can only brush so long in resin because then you get a.
It's kicking off.
Yeah, it's kicking off. So
Yeah.
he called that O'Hare Red. Even Greg didn't remember that, but it was on his list of colors.
That's
you know.
fun. That's yeah. I remember who's the glasser for Surfboards Hawaii that did those incredible fish, pinline fish.
Oh, Snow was one of them, and Brummett was the other.
Phenomenal reservoir.
It was MTB was those three guys. It's Mulhern, who came out here and made MTBs, and then there was Brummett, who was the glosser that did those fishes.
Surfboards Hawaii.
That's where my fish came from that I did that
We're going to need
concept.
to walk
Yeah,
around and
yeah.
get all of this stuff.
And then MTBT was Takayama.
Mulhern, Brummett, and Takayama. Right?
Mulhern,
Right,
Takayama,
yeah,
and I don't know who got whose name first. But anyway, somehow Mulhern bought the name from them and brought it out here.
Okay, all right, yeah. So you've got some, and of course you started out as a glass guy anyway, right? So you know all about that.
Well, a sander, I think that's what helped me with shaping. I think sanders are closer to it than anybody else because you're trying to get the board back to where it was shaped when.
Okay, the feel.
Yeah.
The
And Tommy Moss was a sander before he was a shaper, so.
he's still out in California.
Yeah, but he was here for a long, long time. I
Yeah,
guess he's
forever.
doing great out there. He's pretty much, I guess he runs Takayama's shop.
Okay, that's good for him.
Yeah,
Good for him.
and he's a great shaper too. And he pretty much did some of the same things I've done. Worked here, worked in California, worked pretty much.
That's a recurring theme, it seems like.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, there's Florida guys that go out to California and then some of them become successful out there, but everybody seems to come home at least for a little while.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just a normal tendency, I think,
I
to
guess, yeah.
do that.
Yeah, I don't know very many people that went out there and then just never came back. A couple.
Well, I guess Tommy has, but another person like that is Ricky Carroll. He's from California.
Like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those guys.
And I never knew that. We're talking one day on the phone, and he says, "You from California?"
I know that place.
And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, so am I." He told me where, I can't remember, but he's a great shaper. He is. He's a great shaper, and he's.
Just out in the water yesterday with Jessie Restivo and teensy little keelers, and her Ricky Carroll nose rider was
Yeah.
holding her up on the nose.
Yeah.
I gotta get me another paddle here nose rider.
Ah.
Yay. But you'll charge me extra because it's 100 feet long.
Backwards.
And backwards. No one of that. All right, we're digressing.
Okay.
We need to bring it back to the early 70s. Okay, so did you have your own surf shop at any point after that?
Not a shop, not a showroom, but I started shaping my own boards again.
Let's walk through all of that.
Okay. If I can remember it, which I, somewhat. You know what they say, if you can remember it, you weren't there.
That's like the 60s, yep, and neither
So-
one of us were there.
So, I worked for Steve Holloway. I worked up there, and him and Billy, and then something happened with them. They split up or something.
Did Feinberg become a survivalist and move up into the mountains, sold the shop, and disappeared? Something
Well, I
like
don't
that?
think. No, I think he moved exactly where you said, but I think he moved there with money. His family had money. They owned
Yeah,
that.
they were money.
Yeah.
guys.
I don't see.
Okay, there was a few weird stories after, because he'd been there forever.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's from Miami, and he came up from Miami, and
It's another recurring theme.
yes, and he opened up Oceanside, and it was a big, big place. But it was until he opened up the place on the beach that at one time belonged to
Chase
the Sharps.
And I remember
Yeah.
I bought a surfboard from
Yeah.
Chase Sharp.
And then he got it when Sharp went away.
Yeah, he lost the whole thing. on it.
Yeah, and his brother went into the CIA or something like that.
Did I see his mother one time about 5 or 10 years ago when I was up at the surf company and
You
telling me
could
that
have-
he was surfing in Oman or some totally.
Well, he was going.
No, Fletcher Sharp. Wrong name.
No, I'm talking about Fletcher.
Okay, yeah.
Was it? But he had an older brother that had the shop, Oceanside.
That was Che.
Chase Sharp, yeah, and Fletcher was the one that was a really good surfer.
Yeah, Fletcher murdered it.
But I'm pretty sure he was the one that went into the CIA, and they were doing some kind of putting balloons up there, and weather balloons, and he said they were weather balloons, but I don't know what they
Well,
were.
those guys.
Yeah. He came I was working at Chiquitas' a bar in Cocoa Beach, and he came in, and he was waiting for me to recognize him. I
No
know
way.
that, yeah. You know, I said, "Hey, Fletcher, what's up, buddy?"
Yay! That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a great surfer. He was.
He was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Jay was a good guy. All right, so Feinberg gets the Oceanside shop, and now you're shaping.
I'm shaping at. I quit shaping for him, and I think not long after that he left.
Yeah, that's
Not
where we were.
not because of me. He just left. Took his money and left. Yeah, he had me and Tom and Johnny Rice working for him.
All right, what happens next?
Well, I was kind of in between things, and George Easley, I don't know if you remember
Boy,
George.
that name rings a bell.
Great surfer, great big wave surfer. He loved big waves. Before he moved up to South Carolina, up into where they have all the East Coast championships now. He moved.
Hatteras in that
Yeah.
area?
He moved up there to
maybe
be a
that's where
fisherman.
That name is
Yeah.
familiar from.
And he had talked to Sam Gornto and his shaper, what was his name? Bill from Virginia Beach. Bill.
Oh, not the wave riding vehicles. Guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's terrible when you get old.
Yeah,
You can't
I
remember
know.
anything, and neither one of us are any good.
Another really good guy, and we were always good friends. Anyway, he moved back up there, and George told me to go in and talk to Sam, because Sam had the Sunshine House in my old shop.
Right here in town.
Yeah, Manatee. No, the one.
Oh, in Manatee.
Yeah. And so I went down there, and he said,
We'll
"Sure."
take a break
Hold
while
it.
Pat checks the phone call.
Oh God! I
Right
should've-
back.